Hello and welcome to e-luminate. My name is Madeline Peters and today's topic is on the myth of Mars and Venus. And our guest today is Dr. Mohammed El Majdoubi, a professor of neuroscience from Dominican University of California here in San Rafael. Mohammed, thanks very much for being here and sharing your vast knowledge about addressing the myth between men and women, the myth of Mars and Venus. So you've covered the genetic structure. Now we're going to be looking at the impact of nurture. So the program is yours.
Thank you and welcome back. So we left it in the day of birth, and we said that we're born males or females because of one hormone called testosterone. Now some people will have a problem with this. How can one hormone do this? Remember, in Mother Nature, we have an example of zebra fish. So zebra fish are actually a species in which females, when they become dominant, they turn into males, both in size, color, genitalia, and everything. And once that male loses the dominance, they go back to becoming a female. So in Mother Nature, we have actually an example of a species that can go one way or another, which is zebra fish. And a few years ago, we would have stopped at this level and say, well, you know what, that's what we are. Our genes makes us who male, females, and that's it. Actually, it's not. Since the last maybe 20 years, there is a concept that came to be known as plasticity. And so plasticity is the fact that when we're born, our brain is not set in stone. And genes are not everything. As a matter of fact, studies that were carried on at the National Institute of Health looks at the development of the brain of kids, hundreds of kids that were followed from the age of 2 until the age of 22, 24. And what this study has shown through the MRI and imaging of the brain is that our brain is plastic, keeps changing until we are 26. It's almost 60% of the synapses are pruned during that time, and pathways or connections that are used on a daily basis, encouraged, will become stronger. And pathways that are actually neglected will disappear. Think about it as if we were born as a bush, and then we have this Japanese gardener that comes and shaped our garden in a beautiful way. Like I adore Japanese garden. But think about the Japanese gardener as the nurture, the environment in which we grow. So knowing this, every expectations, every social pressure, even our evolution, the story of how we became who we are, Homo sapiens, is that we go back to when we lived in caves. And at the time, the two sexes were assigned specific topics. For instance, the male was supposed to go hunt. And so the male, as a result of being a hunter, learned not to talk too much, because otherwise you're gonna disrupt the whatever you're trying to hunt. You have to be very focused. It's not time to take a nap while you're trying to get some food back to the family. A lot of features of the male as being really focused, not talking, not socializing, no multitasking. All I need is to look at this and hunt, might have shaped the brain of males. On the other hand, females that stayed behind to take care of the kids, the gatherer, needed to have different skills, peripheral vision, so they don't forget about the kids running around, tigers and things that are outside. The other thing is to be able to have intuition, to be able to have verbal skills, to communicate and to organize this whole society you have in a cave. So even through that, and through how women and men were supposed to be good at some specific topics, might have, during the time where our brain is growing, can change. It's called epigenetic. Epigenetic is factors that are from the outside can actually interfere with the genes. And so this now shows that in our understanding now, everything we do, and intelligence, humor, how nice you are or not nice, our behavior is shaped by two things. It's shaped by the genes, and it's shaped by the environment. And then comes the third factor that really makes us completely different is puberty. Puberty is at the time where we become really boys and girls. This is a time where both physically, your voice changes when you're a boy, you grow beard, facial hair, you become bigger, more aggressive, as opposed to females. And that's due to one hormone, the hormone that we talked about in the neonatal developments, 3 months before of pregnancy, is coming back now that we're teenagers to shape us even more into boys and girls. And so if you take all these things together, it is very reasonable to think that the behavior is different. We have been subject to different nature, different nurture. And so the next question is, okay, well, if this behavior is so obvious, is there any neurological basis to it? Can we see something visibly if we open the skull of a male brain versus a female brain? And more than that, now that we have imaging techniques, neuroscience have been able to investigate in more depth whether our behavior, males and females, boys and girls, is actually due to something in our brain, and whether that's something in the brain is due to nature or nurture or both.
Well, Mohammed, thank you very much. So we've looked at now genetics, we've looked at nurture, and we'll continue on in our next segment. My name is Madeline Peters. This is e-luminate. Our guest today is Dr. Mohammed El-Majdoubi, who's setting the context for understanding the myth of Mars and Venus. Thank you.